Hello everyone, welcome back to Lemon Code 21. In this session, we will create a GraphQL API combined with JWT Token for securing our FastAPI application. Let's get started. Before we begin, let's set up the environment. In the previous video, I already created a FastAPI application with GraphQL, and this code will serve as the foundation for our project. You can clone it from our GitHub repository. Once you've cloned the project and opened it in your sidecar, IDE navigate to the settings, then the project, and create a virtual environment. After that, install the virtual environment. Once you've completed these steps, go to the main file and run the application. Open your browser and access the GraphQL endpoint. You will see the interface, which looks like this as I'm using Strawberry GraphQL. Next, we will add dependency for JWT Token Authentication. With the setup done, we can move on to the next steps. Create model layer user. In this process, we create a new model for the user table. The user table contains attributes such as ID, email, name, and password. Next, we establish the repository layer for the user entity. we create the user repository class and import the necessary dependencies. Since its functions primarily involve basic CRUD create, read, update, delete operations, we can reuse the code from our previously created repository layers. The only modification required is to change the model to user. Additionally, we introduce a new function called getBemail that allows us to retrieve data based on the provided email address. Lastly, we add GraphQL schemas for various input and return types related to operations such as registration, register, login, and the data type resulting from login operations. With this, we have prepared the necessary data layer to manage user information within our system. Before proceeding, let's open the .env file and add 3 new variables: secret key, algorithm, and token expiration time. Afterward, we'll create a middleware package and add a JWT Manager class, which will be responsible for generating and verifying JWT tokens. Before that, we need to import the required classes and variables from the .env file. Next, we'll build the JWT Manager class, where we'll create two methods, generate token and verify JWT. In the generate token method, we'll accept a data input dictionary and an input expires delta. First, we'll check if the input parameter is present. If it is, we'll use the provided expires delta value. Otherwise, we'll take it from the access token expires variable in the .env file. We'll then encode the JWT to create the token. Moving on to the JWT verification process, we'll decode the token and check if it's valid. We'll also compare the expiration time to ensure it hasn't expired. Next, we'll create an authentication service that includes login and registration services. We'll create this authentication service within its respective package. First, we'll import the necessary classes. Then, we'll create the Authentication service class. Here, we'll include a PUD context variable for password encryption. We'll create the login and register classes within this service. In the login class, we'll perform the following steps. Check the query by searching for a user based on their email. If no result is found, the email is not registered. Check the login password against the existing password in the database. After these checks, we'll generate the token by calling the JWT Manager class. Moving on to the register class. First, we'll check if the email is already registered. If it is, we'll return an error. Otherwise, we'll proceed. If the email is not registered, we'll save the user's information to the database. With these steps, we'll have set up the initial configuration for user authentication and JWT token management. We will create register and login mutations in this process. We will add the login and register APIs to GraphQL. Let's create them right away. Once we open the browser, we will try to use our registration API to create a user named James. When we attempt to log in, we encounter an issue. It turns out that the variable should have been named access token expire minute with an additionals. Let's correct that and try again. The token is successfully generated. Next, we will address permissions to secure our GraphQL API are using JWT tokens. If we refer to the documentation, Strawberry GraphQL already provides permission classes for securing GraphQL. We will create a class called JWT. In this class, we will import essential classes and create an ICE Authentication class that extends the base permission class. Then, we will call the hasPermission class to override it. The first step is to extract the token from the API requests headers. Next, we will retrieve the authentication attribute to obtain the token. Afterward, we will call the verified-JWT method from the JWT Manager class to check whether the token is valid. Finally, we will go back to the mutation class and query class to add the permission class isAuthentication to ensure that our GraphQL API remains secure. After that, let's give it a try. We'll attempt to log in, retrieve the token, and store it in the authentication header attribute. If we succeed in doing so, the data will be successfully retrieved. However, if we remove it, an error will occur. Additionally, you can also perform testing using Postman with the following steps. Open a new request. Input the API URL. Use the POST method. And select GraphQL in the body section. You can copy the query from the browser and remove its name. Then, run the test and it should succeed. If you are using Postman, place the token in the header with the key authentication and then execute it to see the results. It should work as expected.